Another point in the book that I thought was interesting, Americans kids spend 90% of their free time at home in front of a screen. TV, video games, or video games. And I thought, when my kids were little, I sent them outside to play in the afternoon. Kids nowadays don't get sent out to play in the afternoon for the most part because somebody's afraid their kid's gonna get snatched. Even in small towns, people don't send their kids out to play in the neighborhood. At least I don't see that in the neighborhood I live in. So,
It's not a beautiful day today. Well, I think one of the things that jumps out to me is when you talk about those same 10 items is, the cognitive part of it, where they're actually realizing that things are changing. Okay, and that change is inevitable. Okay, and I can go back to old time days where you say you either lead, follow, or get out of the way. Being upfront about leading that part of things and trying to give them the skills that they need to be able to survive in their future, not the future we live in or that we see, because that is changing so fast. And it's so critical of what does that look like? We don't know. I think the biggest part and one of the biggest hurdles we're going to run into is knowing where to set the target and set the goal to be able to get there, which I believe is going to be a lot of flexibility because of change. Yeah, that's some of what I've been getting out of it and some of that stuff there. I mean, some of the stuff with the job market that they paint a pretty dim picture in there about a lot of things about how people will be replaced. So having any kind of the effect of the emotional part of that happens, thinking, wow, I'm not even going to have a job. The stress that's involved in that part of it from there is where being ahead of the curve on some of this is going to be critical.
Well, one of the conversations we had today, and I guess it's more of a chapter 2 thing because it kind of continues in chapter 2. I think what they're doing in the first couple of chapters is really painting the sense of urgency, what the issues are that we have to be mindful of. But this idea of, and I can't remember the age range, but it's 25 to 40 something, where you could see a lot of displaced male workers in 30 years because of a lot of these industries. And the conversation we had was really around, so much of a man's purpose is providing for the family. To earn a living, and if they are out of the workforce or are struggling in that way, what that could do population.
Well, also the family dynamics that are involved in that too, right? Demographics that are involved there with all of that across the board. Because let's face it, I mean, an unemployed worker at home is definitely probably not as happy as the guy that's bringing home the bread and feeling, a positive mood. And how does that affect the social, emotional part of it for our kids that are coming to school?
Brett, before you came in, just kind of setting the stage for our book talk and just kind of talking about the first couple chapters and kind of just sort of laid out why we're having the book talk and what this is. And so as we're building our strategic plan, we're having a lot of different conversations about where we want our kids to be, talking about that world-class education, what that means And so, you know, our district office is reading this book and meeting weekly to talk about a chapter, and our administrators are meeting weekly to talk about a chapter. So wanted to make sure that the board also was meeting and talking about the books as we're all kind of moving toward this direction. We want to make sure that the board had a chance to participate as well. So anyway, did you, in a book talk, it's just ahas, things that come out from the reading that you felt, you know, that you want to talk about.
No, to be honest, it's out in my truck right now, and I haven't.
I mean, the other part of it for me on that is that granted, we're gonna have this talk with you and maybe some of these work sessions. I wouldn't mind hearing from some of the other administrators or people at the district office at the same time with these work sessions, if it's just one or two, you know, and say, hey, we're, you know, just to get their perspective on it too.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, building a great team is a teamwork that's put together with everybody's an integral part of it. Sure. Same thing about, you know, feeling the purpose and important.
I have a question for this group. What were the safety drills you did at school as a kid?
Earthquake, fire. Just geographically, because of where I live. I was down in California, Bay Area, very small. Didn't know. What was going on with that. During World War II, Korean War. That was very prevalent. Grandfather talks about lights out. Civil patrol. Coastline.
Yeah.
Observe the blackout. You know, there's a lot of different history in practice.
Did your school, my question, did your school have any kind of passageway to go through in order to check for knives and guns?
Period, right? My pickup truck. Use that during school.
But you read.
Second.
Same thing, okay. So as I got toward the end of the chapter, it talks about school not being as safe a place. And it got into talking about the fact that since 1970, there have been 111 school shootings. And that schools are no longer as safe as we once were. And then it goes on to say with these things being in our culture, school boards, administrators have had to use increasingly scarce financial resources to hire social workers, counselors, psychologists, and other staff to support our teachers and building administrators. And we're doing that. We're trying to support. And we're putting it in the budget as best we can.
It's still at the legislative level of funding to where
Yeah.
they prioritize that. You know, a little bit more, so that there is that ability for that, if it's, you know, additional SIU funds. Yeah, I mean, I'm with everybody else at the same thing. We have those periodic drills were about it. You know, where to go and where to gather. I mean, the evolution in the fire service part of things has gone to, you know, where are safe places to go. You know, in case of this and everything else. I mean, it used to be schools, churches, hospitals, or the fire department. You know, but have schools been taken out of that? You Most of this data-driven stuff is, when I see this 111 since 1970, I mean, I don't remember any, through my middle to high school years and things like that. I don't remember hearing about it. Of course, we can hear about something the second it happens anymore because of the instant access, the screen time, all the other things that are there too.
Definitely working at a different age.
Well, that's where it jumps out on that, preparing them for their future. So we don't know what that future looks like now, other than the projections we're getting from some of the data that's being driven right now. Target.
On page 24, each chapter is summarized, so there's a couple of pieces here, just kind of capture what the saying. Says our students are suffering from one of the worst mental health epidemics to date. Nearly 4 million children have been diagnosed with anxiety, another 2 million are battling depression, and at least 1 in 3 children exhibits behavioral disorders. And then new technologies have made our students more anxious, fragile, and lonely. Because students rely so heavily on technology, they have fewer meaningful relationships, expect instant gratification, and are exposed to explicit content and harassment online. They also lack such skills as mediating their digital footprint, being a respectful digital citizen, and being able to constructively appropriate feedback. We'll talk a few more bullets about it, but I mean, it's just always real amazing to me that so much of our time is working with anxiety, depression, and thinking about suicide and behavior that comes from all these things are heightened. And come on, guys. So as we plan, no longer is it just planning for good math textbook and an English textbook. Good. We've got this epidemic, this behavior that we need to also. So I think it's sort of a grounding chapter for me. Is kind of yes, this is what it is we're dealing with. And chapter 2, it's a little, it still stays a little bleak. But I think it's important, and I think it's important for all of us to read it because it's, like I said, where's the urgency? If we're going to change, if we're going to make plans for moving us from here to there, where is that urgency to make people want to have to do that? Contribute to that vision. So just having people trying to, I think one of the challenges when you put a strategic plan together is it's one of those things that stays up on the wall. So what we're trying to do is make it so it's livable and usable. So make every decision just based on it. And we look at that we've identified some of these areas to grow. I look forward to sharing some of the, as we move into the strategic plans, you can see, because when you start seeing all those pieces put together, you see connections for addressing some of the issues. So, I guess the question for before we end next month, and the same thing, is what chapter do you cover?
I don't want to be behind the, I'm sorry, I was first to speak out, I've been thinking about this very question. I don't want to be behind. Brad is running his staff and what he says, chapter a week. Our meetings are every 4 weeks. I think it's all, tomorrow I'll have my 2 chapters read. And I just want personnel education. This doesn't take very long to read a chapter. Good job, notes, highlight. That's my
Should we be through chapter 4 by next April?
Is that where staff's gonna be?
They're gonna be further along, but their teachers won't be that far along.
Well, I agree with Mr. Rolo. I'd like to be more staff. Staff.
Where will the district staff be on the next board meeting?
We're doing a chapter a week. We're gonna do chapter 3 this week. Next week, spring break. Not assigning anything over break. Coming back the last week of March, chapter 4. We'll talk about 3 and we'll sign chapter 4 for the 5th week.
How about if our goal be to be through 5, and then the next time we can catch up?
That's good too, because we're gonna talk about it.
I'm on with
chunk it a little bit, and then we'll talk about, like, in a half hour to be able to talk about 6 chapters of it, kind of time.
Yeah.
So does that work? Okay, so we're gonna go for through 5, right?
Through-
Through 5 for April.
And I'm gonna whisper, but every time I'm clicking, it still has the red line across it. Nope, and it, no, it's in the meeting, nope, it's in the meeting, Owl Pro camera is selected, but the red lines across it.
Mr. Kaker, would you be kind enough to introduce us to the new district office staff, please?
Yes.
Okay.
I'm excited. to
Okay, just did.
introduce 2 of our office staff who have already made a huge impact on our daily operations in a really positive way. And I'm just
Oh, I
gonna
don't
let them
see
say a quick hello.
Where's it
So
at?
Carrie
It's not on
Harrison
here.
is our HR specialist. So Carrie, just want to say just a quick, something about who you are, where you come from?
Yeah, I come from the private sector, so this is my first experience within the school district. As a leader. I deliberately
It's not working, I'm on video.
chose Jefferson because of its size. It's really important to me. It's something small, that could make a difference and not be overwhelmed at the same time. So I have about 18 years of experience, mostly as an executive secretary in the IDD field, which is intellectual development disabilities group homes. Very much love that. And I went back to school, got my degree, my master's in HR, and haven't looked back. I love it. I love bringing people together and helping to build relationships. That's it. I mean, I can.
Good. Thank you.
And thank you very much, Brad. I'm glad that I've been able to make an impact. It's amazing.
And
The school board member is very happy that we have an HR.
behind me is Jen Hollersheim. We've all had a chance to meet her. She's our new executive secretary. We are so pleased to have her and supporting the board and me, superintendent, and just really rounding out the district office. So, Jen?
Hi, sorry, I'm a little frazzled. I can't get the video to work, so I was just on the phone with Becca and trying to text with Chris because it was working earlier and now it's not. So we'll see what we can do there. I'm happy to be here. I've been here for 2 weeks. It's wonderful. Everybody is so welcoming. Thank you for having me. So.
Move on, item 5, review, adjust, and approve the agenda and the consent items.
I have a recommendation, Chair Jones.
Yes,
We have, in light of the resolution with respects to COVID-19. We are one board member short.
okay,
We have a strong opinion.
yeah, no, but he wants to, you want us,
All I would like to suggest is that if we do not have a full board present for this, we are potentially a Q2 again. We're gonna have to revisit it again and have another discussion again. So if Chair Kamwadi is not here, I suggest that we move it to the next board.
Table 9F. Anything else?
That's it.
Okay, I'll entertain a motion.
Motion that we table a resolution for limited COVID-19 vaccine clinics in Sullivan.
And approve the balance of the consent and consent.
And, yes.
Do I have a second?
I'll second it.
And then, just for clarification, is that if Chair Kamali is not here, or is that just?
They want a full 5-person board present when we have the discussion.
Right.
So at this point.
Discussion
it's-
and vote.
Okay.
If Terry's
Table.
not here,
I was just saying, he may not be here, but he might.
correct.
So if he comes, then we do it, if not, table. So,
Yeah.
So the motion is that we table the resolution for limiting COVID vaccine clinics, provided Mr. Komati is not here tonight, to the April meeting, and we approve the rest of the agenda and consent. I'm sorry.
Correct.
All right, so let's vote. Julie Robbins,
Aye.
Fred Sotomayor,
Aye.
Tracy Rowe,
Aye.
Kay Jones, aye. Motion carries. So we'll move down to Spotlight on Education. Mrs. Cameron.
Sorry, I'm trying to finagle some things. Jen will put up my slides. Sorry, yes, I will. She gets home from that.
Yes, I will do
I'm
that
here
right now.
tonight to talk to you about the student investment account. That's what I talked to you about last time I was here. And I thought I'd do a little mini refresher on what is the SIA. And you'll recall that it is some money on top of general fund dollars that is generated by a corporate tax, relatively new corporate tax. Some of your friends maybe aren't so happy about that tax, but that's where you probably heard of it. Our cut of the money is $661,000 for this school year and the same for next school year. And so we are looking forward to spending the money much like we've spent it this year. This year, we do not have to seek public input, but we thought it is so much better to be collaborative. So that's why we're coming to you tonight with this.
So how much are we
Which
getting
one
in?
is she?
$661,000.
Ms. Emmer, do you recall what the initial estimate was, back when we were, wasn't it
I
at
do.
700 something?
3 years ago, it was in the upper 4s, lower 5s, but then COVID hit and we ended up getting approximately $237,000 of that. This year, the estimate was a little bit less than what we're getting, and same for next year. So we're fully funded and then a little bit more. Now, we do have to base our activities on strategies. And these are the strategies that we have and that will continue through this year's SIA drive. Engage with our Latinx families, increase mental health supports, increase supports for students with disabilities, and increase partnerships to reduce chronic absenteeism, barriers to education, and increase graduation rates. And I think that's on the next slide. We gather a lot of public input to come up with these strategies. And the next slide that I want to show you, and the next 2 slides, in fact, that I want to show you, will tell you just how involved we have been with our community and how we've taken what they have suggested and really put it into practice. This is an intervention pyramid, and it's something that educators know a lot about. I don't know how often you've seen it, but we consider students in the green and the yellow and in the red. the majority of our students are in the green of the pyramid. Those are the students who are most affected by what happens every day in the classroom. We do things that are proactive, not reactive with these students, and they would seem like a general population to you. But approximately 5 to 10% of our students need a little more intervention. These students need intervention when something happens. It should not wait, but something can change their behavior or their academic response if we immediately meet their need. So a small group reading, a small math group, the reset rooms in our buildings that could change the behavior that happens right then and there, and then they can return to class and be part of that community. And then the top of the pyramid is about 1 to 5% of our students, and this is a nationwide generality. These students need a little bit more than we can give them in a typical school day. And they need interventions that sometimes require specialists. So as we move to the next pyramid, I just put in the people that we are hiring or have hired to meet these levels of intervention. I'm going to start in the green again. And most of these interventions are already in place. They have happened this year. Things really have worked out. In talking to our staffs and our students and our parents, they have agreed that these are the best ways to invest these dollars. But at Jefferson Elementary, we added 2 classroom teachers, if you recall, to reduce classroom size. And we added a half of an elective teacher at the middle school. We didn't add a new person, but we had a half teacher and we made that teacher whole. And that allowed for some elective opportunities, which keeps kids engaged and it helps that general population. And then if you recall, at the high school, we added a life skills teacher because our life skills students who were high school age were taking their classes at the middle school. And so this was a great way to help them feel part of their peer group. Moving to the yellow, a lot of these pieces are also in place right now. At the elementary school, we have a student support specialist who helps a lot with social and emotional learning, runs what is called a reset room there. So if a student is acting out or needs some intervention immediately, they can go to the reset room for 10 minutes. And they can go back to class. We have hired a behavior coach at the middle school who will continue into next year. And that hire was just at the end of January. So relatively new, but we're already seeing the dividends of that hire. We also hired a full-time classified position who runs the reset room at the middle school. It's been working great. And at the high school, last year, we were able to hire a student support specialist. This is somebody who reaches out to families, looks at the barriers that might prohibit a student from coming to school or prohibit a student from graduating. And this person is a liaison between the school and families, trying to reduce those barriers and provide every child with every success possible. So all of these have been in place. Now we get to the red tier, and this is where we're hoping to make a little bit of a change with what we have invested this year and what it looks like next year. In January, we started an after-school program at the elementary school, which provides extra help academically for kids who are really struggling, identified by the staff at the elementary school. Who needed the extra help? We reached out to those people, and they are part of a program. Chris, what is the name? It was, okay, it still is Boost. So it's the Boost program. Also, we added this year Trillium at all 3 schools. And you know, they are mental health professionals who come in and see students. And they are a great partner for us. They help share the load with our guidance counselors. And they also, though, are social workers who have the license and the understanding and the knowledge to see students who have a greater need. The next thing that I'm going to talk about is what is new and upcoming for next year. And we plan to open an emotional growth center. And Katrina, An emotional growth center is for what students? Students that are severely impacted by disability. So it's for our special ed students who have been identified specifically who need extra support. And they will go to the growth center and there will be intervention that could not be provided to them at a reset room level. Tracy.
Mrs. Zimmer, just so that I have a greater understanding, at the Jefferson High School student support specialist, when you say that word, what draws me to what that means is, and I cannot remember her name, she's just an amazing person that collaborated with you on the senior project. She was their go-to person for the senior project. Is it that in and of itself, but in a larger?
It's in a capacity of a person who is not necessarily in the administrative role, because you know that is off-putting to some kids and to some families, but it is somebody who speaks their language or understands the culture or goes to the home and does a home visit just to acquaint themselves with a family and to say, what is preventing your student from being successful? It's that liaison between the schools. Yes, they're employed by the schools, but they work for the schools and they also work for the families. And that student support specialist will come to their building admin and say, we really need this because this is, it's keeping somebody from being successful. So they're kind of boots on the ground for that kind of thing. You know, I remember being a high school principal, I would call and say, can you come in and have a meeting with me? And they'd come in and they said, my palms are sweating. And we'd have a good laugh because they remembered having to go see their principal. This person is much less intimidating, I guess,
Okay.
I would say.
Okay.
Kids trust this person, kids talk to this person, and this person has, I think, a greater opportunity to change a barrier or to understand.
Okay, thank you.
Mhm. So what questions do you have for us? One thing that I did fail to say is that this is the last year of the SIA, but it's not the last year of the student investment account money. ODE has taken the SIA, Perkins 5, which is CTE, early interventions, everyday matters, and the continuous improvement plan. And they have integrated them into something called the integrated plan. And that's what we'll be talking about. I've just started diving into it. It is a 164-page document, but it makes sense. It really makes sense because all of these funds have required really a really good puzzle putter together, you know, so because the pieces, every fund has allowances that another fund doesn't have. And you know, Patty and I work on numbers until my brain burns because we want to spend all of this money because it's ours to spend. And if we don't spend it, we have to give it back. But some money can be spent on one thing, and so we're doing all of this. So now they're bringing it together. High school success is another part of the integrated plan. So it just makes sense.
So at this point, at what point then does this integrated plan have to be turned into ODE?
Next spring. So this is truly the last year for SIA. In the fall, it's a lot of community engagement, a lot of evidence gathering, a lot of data collection, and then we will work together as we move through the planning stages, and the plan is due to ODE in the spring of 23.
We plan on bringing additional people in on this emotional growth center.
That's a question probably for Brad.
So, yes, so the Emotional Growth Center requires instructional assistance. So we're in the process of equipping that so that we have plenty of staff to support those students.
Any other questions? Thank you. All right, move on to reports. 8A,
Yeah. I supplied you with the financial reports from February 28th, 22, and I also supplied the February 28th of 21. And I'm happy to say that our ending fund balance estimate between this year and last year is $403. It's the comparison is really small. It's almost the same ending fund balance.
How much was last month?
No. The difference between a year ago on February 28th of 22 is $403. So it looks really good. And that's just an estimate because of our encumbrances and so forth. Is there any other questions or any questions?
I don't have any.
Thank you.
Thank you for very detailed reports.
Sure.
Getting better and better.
Good.
I'll take one from the page here and actually I'll get into a little more. I'm dealing with it away from the district as well, but are there any other financial related matters we should be aware of and maybe separately from now or specifically to that, with the buses that we're running and all the fuel that they're using, is there a fuel surcharge? Is that budgeted or is there a fuel escalation clause in our contract with the school buses? Is that budgeted?
We budget for the cost of what the busing contract is with the busing. I haven't seen an amendment come down. Brad, have you seen one for the increase in gas prices? I haven't seen one. But this is part of the state school fund. We're reimbursed at 70% for our busing costs. So
I know other financial related matters we should be aware of.
no, we're gearing right into budget season. So. Any other questions?
All right, thank you. And we are to the superintendent updates on B.
Vice Chair Jones, members of the board, good evening. As predicted, the COVID-19 Omicron variant has rapidly decreased in severity, allowing us to remove our face masks, allowing us to proceed with school almost like normal. I say almost because COVID has not been eradicated and continues to be with us, as you know. It is something we need to continue to manage within our schools, but we are now planning for school events, musical performances, field trips, booster auctions, dances, plays, etc. And in short, it's time for kids to get back to being kids and enjoy the fun aspects of school. For any family member watching tonight, please know that face masks continue to be optional. And if you need to wear a mask or have your child wear a mask, we will support your needs entirely. We will also continue to be mindful of group events and maintaining social distancing to the extent possible. I want to also caution everyone and say that if another variant comes on the scene or if our case counts become severe in this district, we may have to reinstate the face mask requirement. But having said that, I feel confident at this point that the rest of the school year will be maskless and filled with fun community events. So, reason to celebrate. Is COVID gone? Perhaps not, but we are over the worst of the spread and we can now relax and enjoy once again being in community with each other. I think we just need to take a moment to acknowledge that. So now that we are moving beyond a crisis, I think it is important to talk about Jefferson School District's future. This is not a one-time mention, but an ongoing process, a process that we need to talk about and plan for. We have a strategic plan that captures our goals and our mission and vision. And we are currently in the process of revising a plan, as we shared this last half hour. This process includes having the board, the district office, and all administrators engaged in a professional reading of the evolution of education. The board will meet each month to discuss several chapters. The district office staff and administration meet weekly to discuss the book. And at the same time, I've met with each principal for a 2-hour work session to discuss their ideas for their school plans and how those plans will connect with the district plan. so that we're all in alignment, moving toward a common vision. The next step will be to involve staff with our draft plans and get their input and ideas at spring break, after spring break. Two words that I believe are important are collective ownership. In other words, our strategic plan must be known by all and used every week. It's a living document that is informed by staff input and by research and best practice. So this is the document that we are going to look at, and we're going to set 9-week goals. And we're going to set goals around in those 9 weeks, and then we're going to look at them and see how we did, and we're going to report out on them. And we're going to adjust, and we're going to continue to grow. As we craft our vision, we are aiming for a world-class education for Jefferson students. An education that equates to high expectations for all students and supports put in place to ensure all students can reach those high expectations. Jefferson students need to be competitive with their peers in college and career. We're very strongly about that. They need to have the skills to navigate a changing world. A world that will replace many jobs with artificial intelligence, and a world that will create new jobs that we don't even know yet. In addition to 21st century skills, our students struggle with stress and anxiety and depression to a level we have not encountered in education. Our education must not only focus on academics, but on the whole child, on their mental and physical well-being as human beings. And our focus must be on all children, especially those who struggle and have challenges. To know that our students are growing and progressing, to know how to support those students who are struggling, we need to collect evidence. We need to make our decisions based on that evidence, because that evidence tells us we need an after-school program. That evidence tells us that we need to support kids who aren't doing well. So we need to move to that as a district to be very evidence-driven. And so in the coming months, you will see and hear our plans for how to create a world-class education for our students and a plan for collecting evidence to show our growth and progress. Any questions so far? Changing subjects, on April 13th, we are planning an event for all staff. It's a bar. So our plan is to celebrate all staff on the 13th of April and host a barbecue. We've talked about that a little bit, and we'd love to have board members wanting to help support cook and serve and be there. That would be a recognition of all staff.
Yeah, time, location.
Location would be where it was before, behind the district office. And the time, it would be a Wednesday, and so it'd be after, in the afternoon. And we don't have a set time yet, but we're looking at 3:30. So. Yeah, that is my report.
Questions? Seeing none. We move to 9A. And I will, at the beginning of most school years, in addition to appointing our executive officer and all the other different positions, we appoint a board secretary. And as our last board secretary has left the district, we looking to appoint.
Make a motion. I move to elect Jennifer Waller-Sharon as recorder, board secretary for Jefferson School District 14J for the school year of 2021 to 2022.
Second that.
All right, we have a motion and a second to elect Jennifer Waller-Sharon as our recording board secretary for the Jefferson School District 14J for the school year 2021-2022. We'll vote at this time. Dewey Robbins,
Aye.
Fred Sotomayor,
Aye.
Tracy Rowe,
Aye.
Kate Jones, aye. The motion passes. Jennifer, we welcome you as our board secretary
Thank you.
and recorder for our meetings. All right. Gentlemen, if you will check the pile of papers. Let's get your application. The first one was the evaluation for this year and the order, and on the back side is an idea of what should happen for the next evaluation. So we still have April meeting, and there's things that need to be covered by then. The areas of the superintendent's evaluation, visionary district leadership, that we scored 3. Ethics and professional norms, a 4. 3 is strong, 4 is exceptional. Inclusive district culture, a 3. Culturally responsive instruction, a 3. Communication and community relations, a 3. Effective organizational management, a 4. Effective financial management, a 4. And policy and governance advocacy, a 4. And aligning the curriculum, a 3. So here is, if you will pass that to Brad. We'll go ahead and read the evaluation sum. The Board of Directors of Jefferson School District 14J have completed the annual evaluation of Superintendent Kaechner for the 2021-2022 school year. All 5 board members have served at least 6 months and have been able to observe and be part of the success achieved this year. The evaluation focused on the 8 professional standards and secondly, the superintendent goal. Regarding the 8 professional standards, we determined that Superintendent Kaechner's performance was exemplary in the areas of ethics and professional norms, effective organizational management, effective financial management, and policy, governance, and advocacy. In the areas of visionary district leadership, inclusive district culture, cultural responsive instruction leadership, and communications and community relations, I didn't put that, okay, I left that out. We're strong. I thought I approved this. The board determined that Superintendent Kaechner has done an outstanding job of obtaining goals set last May to establish a curriculum planning at all levels to build a strong K-12 articulated model in English language arts and mathematics during the 2021 school year, 2021-22 school year. During the past 2.5 years, Superintendent Kaechner has led our district through the COVID-19 pandemic by focusing on the best interest of students, staff, and student and staff morale, and state guidelines for health and safety. The board will be working with Superintendent Kager over the next several weeks to develop goals for the superintendent to align to the district mission statement, district pillars, and the district strategic plan, and are looking forward to working together to continue the success of our district.
Okay. And also for the comments. Who's comments?
Yeah. Um, Yep, this was for information. Yes. So we are to see.
I move to renew Superintendent Kager's contract for the 3-year term beginning in the 2022-2023 school year and expiring in the 2024 to 2025 school year. In the future, the contract will be extended for another year following a satisfactory evaluation.
Is there a second? Is there any discussion?
Probably not until, well, maybe so.
That will be done by our negotiation team with the superintendent, and that will come back to the board next month.
I have a comment.
Okay.
I'd like to review a contract. Provide a copy of that first, I've never actually reviewed a contract.
Okay, we'll work with the school staff for that to happen, and then you guys will set up your meeting to do that.
But we're voting on whether or not to review it right now.
Yes, we are.
Okay. But I'm not comfortable.
Yeah, okay, give me just a minute to just clear my own head. I need to review this real quick. because,
Okay.
Just making sure that I'm not putting the cart before the horse.
All right.
So I guess I have a question.
Yes.
So if I understand this right, and all I know is private sector, but what you're wanting to do is to vote whether or not to extend or not extend the contract at this point, and then the negotiations come later. Is that, I'm trying to wrap my arms around it.
What we do have as I understand it in the contract, is with a satisfactory or better evaluation, we agreed to extend the contract at this point for the next year. But we haven't gone over, the negotiation team hasn't yet gone over the actual wording of the contract.
Part of the half of the negotiation team hasn't read the contract.
Got it. I understand that.
Okay.
So, at this point, we should vote. And if you're uncomfortable with the way of wording, I suggest we rewrite the motion. Because what we do need to do is notify the superintendent of an extension or a non-extension. And at this point, we don't have the evidence to support non-extension. So we would be extending the contract.
The current contract.
That I haven't read.
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct.
But.
But at this point, the motion reads, I move to renew Superintendent Caitner's contract for 3 years, beginning the 2022-23 school year and expiring the 2024-2025 school year. And in the future, the contract will be extended for another year with following a satisfactory evaluation. So, vote, unless there's any other questions. Tracy Rowe.
All right.
Fred Solomon.
Nay.
Dewey Robbins.
Aye.
Kate Jones, aye. The motion carries. As for reviewing the superintendent's contract, that needs to be set up for after the negotiation team meets with Superintendent Caitner and then come back. At this point in time, we move to E. Which is,
Chair.
yes,
Item B, superintendent contract review is take place when?
When the negotiation team.
by the negotiation team,
Correct. Yeah, what, calendar date wise, when is that be completed by?
the 18th of April.
Okay.
And on the back side of that sheet that you have those dates is a tentative draft on when that should occur for the next evaluation. Right, the 2022-2023 school year second draft is before us for adoption. With in-service starting August 29th and registration for students on the 26th. The all-staff gathering is August 30th. Teachers are in all day on the 31st of August. It gives us the number of days different people work, early release days, holidays, grading days. The quarters, first quarter is 44 days, second quarter is 41 days, third quarter is 42 days, and fourth quarter is 42 days. And then you have a list of different days. Does anyone have any questions of our staff? Not?
Brad, with respects to, I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
Chair Jones. with respect to the calendar days, we have built into this particular schedule clarification purposes. Enough for emergency closures, for snow, ice, catastrophic events, things of that sort, and if so, how many days are built into this schedule for that?
I don't have the exact number of days built in, but we look at the amount of instructional hours for each level and make sure that we have more enough to, so we can do a week, but I don't have the exact date. But we can do it.
Okay. Or for any other.
Or, yeah.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
All right, I will entertain a motion.
I'm going to accept the 2022-2023 Jefferson School District calendar as presented.
Is there a second?
I'll second that motion.
Thank you. Motion and a second I move to accept the 2022-2023 Jefferson School District calendar as it's been presented. Any further discussion? Seeing none, we'll vote. Dewey Robbins,
Aye.
Fred Stottlemyre,
Aye.
Tracy Rowe,
Aye.
Kay Jones, aye, motion carries. All right. I have not been able to, so we will move on to high school bleachers.
Thank you. As a team, we identify our maintenance needs in our facilities maintenance plan. And one of the needs that has risen to the top priority is the replacement of our bleachers at the high school gymnasium. These bleachers are old, worn, and dangerous. Do not move easily. They're difficult to put away. So any item on the list like this requiring replacing typically involves a lot of money. The challenge is trying to address the structural needs of our buildings with very limited resources. We have a rare opportunity to use our ESSER 3 funding, which is the grant coming from the federal government to support COVID-related issues, but it's a very broad use of that funding. And we could use some of this funding for the replacement of these bleachers. It's going to require approval from ODE as well as CORE. So if you approve it, we then need to get approval from ODE. If they approve it for ESSER 3 funding, then we can put it out to bid in RFP. Yes. ESSER 2, okay. We have two, ESSER 2 and ESSER 3 funds. So we want to make sure we extend ESSER 2 first. Same idea. To replace both sides of the gym bleachers, we're looking at an estimated cost of $200,000. Without the ESSER 2 funding source, we would be looking at having a budget for this using our general fund and perhaps trying to fundraise a portion of it. But this could take several years. And our concern is that we don't have several years to fix these, and we want our spectators to be safe. And, definitely avoid potential loss. So we want to submit an RFP online and outlines a maximum of $200,000 for this project. I'd like to do that, engage in the RFP this spring, have that finalized and have that work done over the summer so that we could have new bleachers for the fall.
I don't know who in here could actually tell me how old.
1980.
1980.
That school was built in 1980. I was the first class to go all 4 years there.
There you go.
That's all we were doing. 79 or 80, right?
So we're 40 plus years. in those bleachers, and I can certainly understand as a community member, not a board member, but as a community member, the importance of having to replace those, because nothing truly lasts forever. But my big question is, the ESSER funds, 2 and 3, will they cover the entire 200,000, or are we going to have full funds, general fund to cover that expense? Now, if the bid, and this is another way of answering, if the bid comes in at 250,000, that's the lowest bid, what is our contingency plan for funding with those, with that in mind?
So we have enough funding in our ESER 2 and 3 to cover the cost of 200, and we have enough to cover 250,000. Should we choose to do that? I think the decision comes to, at a certain point, I need to make sure that we're using those funding for staffing and other needs of the district as well. And so at a certain point, it's going to be difficult, or not difficult from a money standpoint, but difficult from a budget standpoint to go along with, say, 250 to 300,000. But based off our early estimates, we're looking at a cost of something most likely less than 200,000, possibly maybe up to, and it could go just a little above it as well, especially considering our current day and age. So we can afford it with our extra money.
Last question, when you set that target of 200,000, is that supported on any research that you did with respects to what bleachers are costing?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you.
Brad, what I'd like to know is if, has this taken the bleachers and moved them from the bottom of the facilities needs to the top as the most critical?
So the team looks at the facilities plan,
Okay, which team?
the maintenance, Raymond and Chris, myself, high school leadership, look at the needs of the school and decide what is the most pressing and what the cost point is for that. And so we're looking at cost or urgency of what needs to be fixed for safety, and then how we can budget and what year we're going to try to budget those issues, those concerns. This one came forward as being a top priority because of the safety concerns of bleachers using, having people coming in quite frequently and sitting on them. It's a constant reminder from staff saying this needs to be replaced. The challenge we have is if we don't address it, we are, replacing a board here and a board there, but it's always going to be an issue if we don't have the funding to do it. Problem is we don't ever have that kind of funding, and this is a rare opportunity to be able to allocate some of this funding to fix a problem that has risen to the top as being a primary concern.
Anyone else have a comment? Brad?
So I'm assuming you have a list of what's number 2, and the reason I'm asking this is because is this that either or is number 2 not going to get fixed because we do get bleachers, and what are the bleachers displacing, if anything?
So right now we're looking at our heating. The heating needs to be replaced as well. Currently, there's an evaluation that came through to redo the computer system and the software to at a much lower price of $17,000, which would then allow us to run that heating structure that we have currently in place for another few years. If we didn't have that, that would be also right up there with the bleachers, because at some point you're going to need to replace the heaters as well. And so that's still very much on our list of priorities. But right now, we think we have a short-term solution for that that'll last us out for a few more years.
Tracy?
This is, just cannot remember for the life of me if we had this discussion after I was asked to come to the high school, but this is just. Not making a decision about it, but I was asked to come to the high school due to my profession. And review the exterior facade of the high school. And in doing so, I am also trying to evaluate the components the high school was built from, the file archives. Truth of the matter is, we have some glue lamps on the exterior that have been covered with fine metal at some point in time. They were never covered by metal before. Most of the affected areas where we had wood rot decay on the structural glue lamps was on the southern exposures. Oh, I'm sorry, Kay. Glue lamp beam supports
Okay.
the foyer between the commons and though that we had a glue lamp that was replaced because it was rotten. Brad, you did that your second year, first year, something like that. My conclusion is that it needs to be replaced, but is it a accoutrement to the exterior, or is it a structural member? There's some bolts that are supporting something, but there's one very important page that's missing in the drawings that the school district is on now. It shows process details about what that component does specifically. And I'm talking the area that's, it's the gym where the commons are. That is something that's very important also, but we need to have more investigative efforts done by somebody other than myself.
Like detail should be being through permitting and everything else. Copies of it that we might be able to send up.
Yeah, it's gonna be tough to get that through archives, due to how long ago that campus was constructed, and I've gone through that process myself with other projects. Whether it exists anymore now in the county, hard to say, really is hard to say. So, and I'm not saying that the bleachers are more important than the exterior facade or the glue lamps that have bolts running through it that move their body away. But that is an important piece that needs to be done.
Okay,
We,
thank you. Brad, would you, the funds that we're looking at, the ESSER funds 2 and 3 are for safety, correct?
Well, they're funding used to support school districts after a pandemic and how and what they need to bring students back together, and for ventilation, for safety, and for achievement. So it's a pretty broad use of funding. We just need to be able to identify what it is we need, and we do have other items like gutter replacements, re-roofing the east and west gym, siding repair, those kinds of things that we are in process of budgeting for and thinking about that are on the list. But the bleachers themselves fit into this funding source, and they fit into a safety need. And I think that's a key piece there, is we want to make sure that we can take care of our gym and short term, and then work on that.
Are we, the estimates that you got or stuff like that, are they going back with wood, or are they going with the new style, or where, I mean?
So they would look just like the middle school ones. If you remember the new middle school here, they would look just like that.
will they seat just as many that these are capable of seating at this point?
Yes.
It will be smaller.
No.
Brad brought up a keyword about safety. I'm not opposed to this. Brad brought up a keyword about safety. Those blue lamps deal with the word safety as well. That's all I'm gonna say about that.
Yes, Rick.
My hands on God, I'd like to go take a look. Especially if you know exactly.
Pretty obvious.
Well,
Step out.
you're
step
a
out
builder
backward.
on Spanish Rocks.
No, that's fine.
So,
You know, I want to look at it, certainly can. So, but I, at the time, I couldn't see human danger. So,
have we had anybody, look at the bleachers, and I respect your maintenance staff tremendously and everything, but, have we had anybody look at them just from a safety standpoint of view, other than district staff?
We have had a couple companies that do this kind of work come out and evaluate them and let us know if they are, what condition they're in and what they would do to replace them. And so just as a information piece.
Is repair an option?
No, because I mean, you could do a couple, you could Band-Aid it if we wanted to, but you're just pushing the problem down and you're still gonna, and then my fear is 2 or 3 years, if putting duct tape on stuff, you're gonna need to really move, I'm just kidding about the duct tape, but you know, putting Band-Aids on, you're gonna have to replace it at some point. And right now, you know, the electrical piece is hard because it's really hard to get it's in and out. And so it costs custodial a lot of effort and to try to just get them so that people can come and sit on the stand. So we're gonna have to replace them at some point, and then we might be in a place where we wouldn't have the funding, because this funding goes away in 2024. So if that happens, then we're back to trying to budget it over a 3-4 year period of time, which we'll get a loan.
I move to replace the Jefferson High School gym bleachers not to exceed $200,000.
Second that motion. Ready for the discussion?
I would like to see greater concerted effort on the future. And other safety matters that with board concerns as soon as possible by the board of directors. Ask Brad to get some determination.
Fred is asked. That's who they about cost estimates and some of the.
It's gonna go beyond me. You know, I'm not saying that I'm the guy.
No.
But, it needs to be.
I agree with you. I would like a little bit more time to, you know, my fear is that, and I hear what you're saying about putting a Band-Aid on it, and it's just gonna move the problem maybe a year or two down the road. And that's exactly what we proposed. If we do the bleachers, we can put a Band-Aid on the heating system. If I heard you correctly, that would get us another year or two down the road so that we could budget to it later. So I almost feel like I'm picking between the two at this point, which one to put a Band-Aid on. And I mean, in a perfect world, I'd like both. And I don't know, and I'm uncomfortable with voting on tonight, which one's the more pressing or most important. I would actually like to table this and,
Well,
my hands on that.
we have a motion with a second.
Yeah.
So we'll vote. But I have a comment I'd like to make
Absolutely.
for this, because the bleachers aren't just used during games. The bleachers are used throughout the year by the student body as a whole. It's a gathering location. If every time they bring the bleachers out, it becomes a safety concern. They have it out for community meetings. I'm concerned for the safety in general of the bleachers and getting them up, and the safety of our staff when they're bringing them out and putting them back in. That's a concern for me, so. Tracy,
Can you go back to the timeline? Please? When did you get the RFP?
So, in just conversation with the companies that are doing bleacher work, there is a window of opportunity to get them done before the fall. If we can contract with them, we're doing RFP now. So if we were to pass this tonight, then we would start the RFP process with, we also have to do the approval thing at the same time, make sure we get their go ahead. But assuming we get that happening within the next few weeks, then we could get on the books for the fall. And then we can start the school year without having to have major interruptions in the school, which, and then, as you know, your question, Josh mentioned, we use these as kids come in, and so in the fall and summer school as well. Get this done as quickly as possible. So timing for us is kind of a.
Chair Jones, I'd like to amend the motion. I would like to give a bit of what you said. And include the process of approval of
take a second. So to add to the motion, the approval,
We have to first vote on the.
no, we have to vote for the modification to the motion before we vote for the motion.
Okay, thank you.
So we are modifying, I move to replace the high school gym bleachers with the approval for the funding through ODE, not to exceed 200,000. So. Dewey Robbins.
Aye.
Fred Solomon.
Aye.
Tracy Rowe.
Aye.
Kate Jones. Aye. So we amended the motion now. I'm writing it down so I have it down in right. I move to replace the high school bleachers with the approval of ODE's fund not to exceed 200,000. Okay. Any further discussion?
So, historical facts on this, and this is a problem when I actually attended there, and actually when I had rented the gym at night. We had after school, we had basketball, we had volleyball, we had all these other things. One of the biggest issues that we had is people were trying to operate bleachers that didn't know how to operate bleachers. And that's how they got broken, affected, disrupted, and all those things. So just as a FYI, you know, they need to be done, or whoever's operating the bleachers need to understand how they operate them. You know, and that was one of the biggest concerns that we had with those bleachers. But, you know, 5-6 years after they were in there, we had troubles with them and the ins and outs because people didn't know how to actually operate them. I mean, I pushed those bleachers in and out myself, I'll bet at least 1,000 times, you know, and when you know what you're doing, they work good, they operate good. When you get them all out of whack, there's a problem, and they're out of whack because you don't have things set up right, or you don't have the proper amount of people to do it too. Just FYI for all that. That's it.
So, any other further comment? All right, if not, let's vote on the motion on the floor. I move to replace the high school gym bleachers with the approval of ODE funds not to exceed $200,000. Dewey,
I,
Fred.
Aye.
Tracy.
Aye.
Kate Jones, aye. Motion carries. We look forward to seeing whatever that piece is we get back now. That piece. And we move on to 10, which is board comments.
Chair Jones,
Yes,
I'm sorry to interrupt one of my comments, and if we pass it, that's totally fine. I'm not worried about it, but the safety issue with blue lamps on high school. I support this very much with the bleachers. But we need looking at ways to verify that we're not.
would it be possible at the next board meeting to see the updated list on the facilities? And is it possible to arrange a tour to see the different areas of concern?
Yes.
And which board members would be interested in doing the tour? So if you would get in touch with us and let us know when that's available. Dewey, any comments? Fred?
With the tour, if I given enough leeway, I might be able to bring a structural engineer. That's possible.
Chair Jones, I think that I'm gonna volunteer to look into obtaining microfilm digital copies of high school blueprints, drawings that are in archive for the benefit of the school district. So that's important to have a complete set. There's I can tell where this is not. Everything else is really important, but I just couldn't get on without that.
that was my senior project, so.
A lot of times the company themselves will retain copies of that as well.
Yes.
Yeah. We weren't showing.
Possibly for you to have Raymond look at those drawings and tell me who the architectural firm or the engineering firm was.
Yes.
Those should be printed on the S pages as well as the A pages.
We did some research on this to try to find it. I don't have the details of where we ended up with it, but I thought that the company that designed it was the owner.
That would be my assessment. So it's been a long time.
Yeah. So I think that's where we hit that, but I can double check.
I want to share that I joined the Zoom meeting with the WESB at the WSB with OSBA with their listening session. And one of the key points that I thought was really interesting, shared by another board from Sheridan, that their board splits up and portions of the board go with the superintendent to different schools within their district to listen to the community needs and wants. And not that any decisions are made, so it's two board members with the superintendent to hear what are the concerns of the community. They're held at the schools and then they're held at different locations within the district. And it has helped that school district with understanding more of what's going on in their community. So I wanted to share, that was one of the key things that I heard at that meeting. And the next thing we have, agenda. Oh, is there any other comments from the board? If not, if we are to community comments. So Jennifer, are there any community comments?
Not that I can see online, no.
And I have no one that has signed up at this point. Or sheet. Any further comments? Seeing none, I will adjourn the meeting at 7:45.
So we lost the video feed, and so that's what I was talking. I was trying to talk with Becca. And the only way to get it back, we would have to reboot everything, which means the recording would be, so the recording was going. There was just no live video. So I'm like, I'm not messing with that. We're not going to have the live video. We need the recording.
And I'll get you a copy of it.
I mean, Zach was looking and I took pictures and everything because the button that you're supposed to click, it was grayed out, it wouldn't work.
Okay, I need, do you have a one-sided copy?
A one-sided? No,
Yes.
these are double.
Okay. I will sign one of them front and
Okay,
back.
okay.
Okay, so. 4 row.
You do a great job, by the way.
Jones. Okay, Sotomayor.
D-E. M,
N-E-Y.
M-E, yes, it's Meyer. Yeah, M-E-Y-E-R. There you go. We don't have to write.
That's okay. We appreciate everything you do. Thank you for everything. So.
And then you can make copies.
Okay. Thank you so much.
There's your official
Okay.
signed copy.
Okay, and you don't have to sign here?
Oh, yes,
no.
I do.
Okay.
Because then you can photocopy these and you have them ready to go.
We dropped our video feed and the only way to try to would be to reboot it all. And I was texting with
Okay.
the people, we were not gonna reboot it.
I will get you the corrected copy.
Okay, sure.
And it's correct with hats,
Okay,
but I forgot the sentence.
no worries. What's going on this month, huh?
Hi.
Hi.
Do you go by Jen?
Yes, I do. Oh, Melody, oh, yes, I was emailing you guys. Nice to meet you. I can finally handshake, right? We can handshake. Nice to meet you.
Thank you for your Saturday meeting.
Yes.
You have made my life much better.
Oh, yeah, I have. I don't know what I did. Yes, I copied Dave.
It just changed his attitude,
Aw.
which is good.
We are working hard.
Good deal.
I'm just happy the recording. We lost our video feed right at the very beginning, and so I was on with our tech people and.
You will need to make sure that you have a copy of the contract.
Okay.
And you need to have a copy for Brad and for Terry and for Fred.
Okay, 3 copies. Brad, Terry, Fred. Okay. We'll figure it out in the morning. Yes. It has been a long time.
Yes. Okay, I will get back with you probably tomorrow.
I'll be there. I'll be in the office.
Yeah.
Right.
And welcome.
Yes, welcome. Wonderful addition to our.
Thank you. It's nice to put a face. Yes, it's nice to put a face with a name.
You can the invoice, and now you're printing. I think that's how. Oh, we're gonna have another fingerprint. Back up to me. It takes a lot of weight, but. They don't come together. So how do you get them together? You know, things like that. I do. Yeah.
That's still just sitting there. And when does that have to be? Or is that some stuff like that? Nobody's in there.
That's good to know.
Application, same thing.
Yeah.
Like, sure, if it can, or something that works.
Hey, right on that particular line. Oh. Is that one page, or did you use it, or?
Anyway,
I think
what was I going to say now?
Pretty
awful.
I think you did, April 6th. Yeah, we're just working to compare our students.
Yeah, right.
Oh,
So-
one question I have for you is, what's the vaccine
That's a-
now?
I'm gonna use the rest of the.
Yes.
You mean, are you talking like?
To be on school property.
Oh, I
Very
think
much appreciate
with
you
them
guys'
coming from college, we
professionalism.
can confirm that, but I.
Do it from school.
Yeah, 'cause I got to be hard.
Oh, yeah,
Just don't send us the gas.
Then
we'll like you even more.
And then.
$7.89 a gallon for diesel in California. $7.89.
That's like Death Valley, that's $9.99 for diesel.
From one of us.
I thought I took it bad when I paid $5.69 when I went down there a month ago. I came back and towed a truck.
Yeah.
I thought, and you know, I mean, the domino effect and all that, it's like nothing moves without truckers.
Yeah.
Look at the impact that's gonna hit right there. And guess where it's gonna impact everything they're moving is getting passed down right now.
There's a variety.
Oh, I wasn't amazed at that, I went down to
So we're
Yeah.
going, I know what I was gonna say, you're not.
Have a
gonna
tank,
walk in
'cause
and
they
say this.
can't afford more. Can't do a whole thing.
We
But,
haven't done it for 2
I
years.
noticed
in
that
Jefferson.
gas prices,
Last year they did.
gas station have to raise in 3 days.
Yes,
I was watching them
yes.
raise every day, 10, 20 cents a day.
Joe just
So,
needs to
so
ensure
since
that
we
it's
have done it in a
put out
couple of
there.
years, the students were separated. from
Because
one
if all
We
their
just don't wanna
agreements that
add
they
any more
made by
stress. Even we're on
2040,
short
that
timeline.
if we're making
So it's-
combustion gas engines and diesels and cars,
I think
Okay, which
just,
is an agreement they
questions that
made
you can ask, you
all the
know,
way across the board.
information
with the
about
Iowa
your
programs.
company or about what you do, and what.
If that
skills
comes
you
into
use.
effect, well, what are you gonna
So
do with
what?
that? Is that gonna take something in check for us, and all the other countries that are still gonna do that? I mean, I don't see it happening, but that was an agreement that the big, all the big auto manufacturers.
4 or 5 years ago, they say like it's great or something, and then some trucks. And I don't know if you have a exact number, but it's the way that. Because that's important.
They took it from Russia, it's just it ran by Russia, and then they sell it to us. And listen, that's a backdoor deal you know nothing about, I know nothing about, but you know what?
That's right.
I just stated that.
$80,000 a year.
You're absolutely, we have work to do.
It's a chess match, is what it is.
Thanks so much, Brad. Appreciate all the work you do.
And so this is our last one. Hey, thank you. So it's not the money interview.
Yeah.
It's 2.5 hours. It's about 22 businesses. About what we're looking at. Colleges, universities, and the military. I was very pleasantly surprised at how many students expressed an interest in the military. We did a survey for students, and it is a short turnaround time for us. And I think Bobby's the one to plan it, so we're doing it on a smaller scale than what I would next year. So.
Are the kids going to be like all the colleges and everything, or are there kids that aren't interested in colleges gonna be, have to go through that, or do they?
We're working on that right now. We have a passport system where students can proactively sign up for who they would like to visit with.
Okay.
And obviously, we want to make sure we don't have, 100 students going to Knife River and then none going. I don't want any employer to come in and then just be sitting there. So those are some logistics we're working at right now, but we're looking at having the businesses and employers in the gym, the colleges and maybe the military and the freshmen
Okay.
hall area, depending on number. And then we're looking at, we're working with Sherry to look at maybe our small theater. And instead of mock interviews, she recommended Goodwill, and having someone in there to just talk about interview and what do they need to do to prepare. So for this year, it's going to be much safer for them if we will. They're not going to be going in expecting a mock interview, but more of an informational session on, gotta show up on time. There's a lot of growth that needs to happen with those students to be prepared for the workforce.
Sure.
And so it's just that what information do they need? Hey, there's some feedback on some resumes. You're not, it has to be perfect. They're not used to that. And so, oh yeah, this looks
Make
good.
it
So,
good seat. Or
so-
do we use letter grades anymore?
yes,
Okay.
yes. Yeah, well, exactly. Like, hey, it's a sin, I'm passing. So there's just a lot, so that's what we're anticipating with the businesses and military colleges, and then over here, just informational session for students. And we'll have breakfast, we have like a continental breakfast for our guests, coffee, water, and then we'll have a box lunch.
And you call it trades.
Yeah, what did I, college career, is that what I'm saying?
Well, you said profession, and to me, profession is for white collar guys.
Oh,
And I
yeah,
think
yeah.
anymore you're looking at.
No, absolutely.
I'm a little offended. I'm a professional.
I know you're a
No, I'm
professional,
not.
but
It's a trade,
it's
Yeah.
a trade, and I would like, I don't want to scare kids off.
No,
because
not
I hear
at
the
all.
word professional.
And that's
Because I would love for you to have a welder there.
We will.
And a carpenter, and an electrician,
We
and
got a
a
plumber.
plumber.
We did a survey with students, we've been surveying them, and we've been working especially with our juniors and seniors, all of them, but juniors and seniors with strong focus, because there's so many gaps from the last 2 years. And when they did the survey, electrician was by far the #1, electrician in.
And you have one coming already?
Yes, we
Okay.
have one identified, plumber, but we're working with, Sherry Clark, and, yeah,
Rick Blanchett is a retired electrician.
Okay.
Lives in the area.
okay. What was the name again?
Blanchett.
Okay, can you write that down?
And Sherry's local, so it's out
Yes.
on,
She's out this week, but we do have someone stepping in and helping us. She's back the next week, and then, but it's a short runway,
Yeah.
but, it needs to happen. And part of it has been, we didn't start, one being brand new, and then we didn't know when we were going.
And
to
if you
open.
look back, his
So-
son,
How many people
Jacob
should I
and daughter
recommend?
Sally
Too much, how many
graduated
on that?
in the last.
We have,
8 years or
I'm
so.
trying to think, juniors
I
and
can't
seniors.
tell you exactly what year it is.
59 seniors, so a few more juniors, like 63, so we're over, I'd say 110 students, approximately 120 students. I count for 10% being out on any given day, so a little over 100 students.
If there's one thing that you could do, for me and my trade, in general is, and this is a tough one, but, I would say out of the construction part of us, out of 100 applicants, we maybe get 2. And
That's very good to
we're
know.
stereotyped,
That's very good to know.
yeah. and
So how
it's-
can we?
I don't know.
Those are good conversations that's good to know because we have 2 Wednesdays. I mean, it's tight because we have this, and it's this Wednesday that we have our life and pride classes where teachers are really intentionally working with students to prepare them. Then we go on spring break, we have one more Wednesday, and then we're at the college and career fair. So they don't,
You want me to bring the equipment?
yes, we would love that.
Well, yeah.
What kind of equipment?
Yeah, I'll bet.
How big could he
So
bring, how
let's-
many pieces, and how much of your parking lot can you use?
How much, what do you want to bring? Because I know we're talking about,
Well, I could literally just drive the loader from our Jefferson pit over here, the loader tires are
Yeah,
this big, and
yeah.
it's 13 feet tall, like big piece
Yeah.
of equipment. But, and I don't know, one thing I ask when I talk to high school kids and, girls and boys, I always ask them, who makes the better operator in general, a girl or a boy? And of course, all of them. Yeah, we're better. And it's actually not the few that we get. Boys always want to have a throttle all the way down, rough on the equipment. They always break the equipment. And, girls, they just have, any more, you don't need to be big, strong, we've engineered all that out. And now you sit there in that big equipment, you have 2 joysticks, and you don't need raw anymore. Brains and
So,
stuff.
so those that have used joysticks are in a good,
100%.
yeah.
But girls usually make better equipment operators. They're more attentive, they, when a seat belt is slipping or something, they pick up on that. It's just.
Those are, so what we can do is communicate with teachers ahead of time as well for students when they're identifying what employers they want to get more information from, they have an open mind. And this is,
Could you ask them who makes a better equipment operator, then like you tell them to come see me for the answer?
I love that.
Okay.
Okay, and then just know that this is first year back, and then after this, we always debrief, like, okay, let's sit down and let's talk about what went well and then what we can do for next year. So we really want to make this, you can't go from 0 to 80 overnight, and especially because we've just opened up,
When's graduation day?
June 3rd.
And is there any chance of doing something late May, like a couple of weeks, even if it's just me coming in and actual interviews? We are hurting for employees so bad.
Absolutely. Let's talk about what those ongoing conversations look like, because we have great students. I mean, you know that, they're smart, and this could be, maybe this is like the pre-interview, or this is hey, here's what you need to do, is go back, and then I will come back and have a follow-up conversation.
But maybe like them want informational exchange back to students.
I think so.
whatever questions
And
they have.
we have kids excited about looking at they have no idea. People have excited teachers.
Well, I'm 100% in, if you want to do a couple more things even.
Okay.
This is one of, there's a lot, she knows with me from work, and I hate that stuff, but getting kids introduced into a career that,
Yep.
they have a really nice house and provide for them.
Yep.
That's my passion, so
Ours
let
too.
me help out.
And ours too, and there's just a lot of work to do. And you know this, these last 2 years have been so impactful, and so now it's not the same students I was accustomed to working with 2 years ago.
Yep.
And nothing against them, they have just been through the ringer, and so they're not quite there, but what do we need to do to get them there?
Sure.
So,
All right,
so
well,
we'll probably ask for your feedback. Yes, how can we best prepare them for next year?
yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
I appreciate you guys letting me be a part of it. I
We-
really,
really, it goes both ways. Okay, you've always been there for us, and so. All right, well, we will be reaching out to you.
and if you can't get any of the rest of those professions, odds are that's one of our vendors.
We will ask. I'm going to meet with them tomorrow and just get a follow-up on.
What
So
you
I,
just mentioned, the electrical,
Yep.
plumbers, just about anything.
okay, that's really good to know.
And I might, after speaking with Rick Martin, maybe I'll bring some.
Okay.
The diesel mechanics.
Yep, we have the Willamette Career Academy program diesel mechanics, and we definitely have students
I'm on that
interested.
advisory board.
Perfect. And then I think Kathy and I are coming out next week at some point.
You're coming.
I think we're going to go out to Knife River for a visit or something. I think. Next week.
You know what, I just hit accept all.
No, it's this week. Is it this week? Next week is. Spring break, not next week. I will ask Kathy on that.
Is it really?
Yes,
Let me look on my calendar, this week you say,
I will ask Kathy.
okay.
She asked me last week, and I think she said she was gonna push it back to this week. I will ask her, so. Fred, thank you.
Yeah,
very
no,
much.
thank you.
Yeah.
Okay.
And the other people on the team, okay? So part of what we're doing here for the next meeting is to agree to what additional goals be done. And then whether or not you want to include 360. Which that side,
Are we gonna review the whole evaluation process?
yes,
Okay.
to do that,
Because I talked to Terry a little bit about it. and
okay,
If it's the same one and if it's the same criteria that we evaluate them on, I'm not interested.
okay. What do you want to,
Just like with any other job, I mean, this job is basically to lead this whole district, and the number one goal should be the kids and graduation rates and, attendance rates and, grades and everything else. And I agree, it's a different dynamic right now, and we need to pay more attention to the emotional well-being of the kids. But if you read through all those, and I got messed up right now. but-
that's okay, I know what you're talking
Yeah.
about, the inclusive stuff.
Yeah, and that definitely needs to have a piece of it, but for none of it to be about graduation rates or grades or attendance. Nothing, we didn't grade them on any of that, so I just, basically, I wouldn't be interested unless we somehow incorporate all. I understand this is the first year that we have this, and it's from OSBA.
Well, but the other one from OSBA was, had even less to do with
Well-
those things that you're talking about.
Well, maybe we need to go outside OSBA.
Okay, but I did want to talk, I wanted to check with you and make
Yeah.
sure, because this is the time that we make an agreement on what we're going to use.
Sure. Yeah, no, I'll be happy to discuss that.
Okay, but that's why I wanted to catch you here with that, and then you can
Well,
modify dates as need be, but these would be the dates for the
that's
next,
April, okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so is that the next board meeting?
Yeah.
Okay,
and we'll meet early and do the.
at 6?
Yeah, I think it's
Okay.
6 unless they add the,
Is Terry okay? Is everything going?
he got an emergency call
Okay.
and he had to go. And,
I usually don't speed in my work truck, but I hate being late. I apologize. No,
as you noticed, we had a forum and I started the meeting.
Oh, great. And I would have really felt bad if they're.
But,
if you could, though.
but I'm to that point and
Well, I don't know if there is any other districts that we could take a look at and see how they, I would be interested in looking at something.
well, I think the other thing you might want to look for COSA, which is the Confederation of School Administrators. Because that's the professional thing, because teachers are evaluated between OEA, NEA, ODE, tell you what you have to use to evaluate. COSA kind of gives you an idea on what,
Recommends or tells you what you have to.
the feds kind of told us exactly what we had to do and how we had to evaluate teachers.
Okay, but
In order to
superintendents don't follow those guidelines.
Different set of guidelines.
Maybe I need to research that. The guidelines. And will I find out on OSA or?
You would find that, okay, if you want to start Jim Green at OSBA, would be the first person there.
There's like actual guidelines and you can't
Well,
go outside of them?
yeah, we can do whatever we want. as a
Oh,
board.
well, I don't want to, if there's like actual guidelines in place, I'm not.
I don't have, I've
Okay,
only
fine.
done what I've been directed to do in the past, and personally, this evaluation is a whole lot better than what we used to do, because you had 6 categories, and you gave them a 1 to a 5, and there were no criteria.
No. it needs-
And Bill Linhart led it.
Yeah, and I think it'd be more fair to Brad as well. I want to be fair to him, too. It needs to be, accurate and everything, but,
Mhm.
I think, just from talking to parents, not so much community, parents. I hate to say this, I know the community votes for us, but the parents should have, to me, a bigger say so.
Okay, here's something you aren't aware of then. When we were doing some research, the average age of the people that bother to vote in this are 60 years and older.
I fully realize that, and they probably don't have kids in the school, but that's what I'm saying.
But I don't have a problem. That's where the listening sessions would be. Hear what the parents are interested.
Right, and that's what I'm telling you is I already have a listening session 24/7.
I understand that. But I have distanced myself from that listening session personally. Because OSBA has said, you're supposed to, as the board, as the group of five, you're supposed to be this overview, and you're to be operating from 30,000 feet.
Yeah.
And so I'm
The
trying to,
OSBA said that, they're wrong. In my opinion.
okay, you're entitled to your opinion,
Yeah.
and that's fine. I'm just trying to fill you in on where I come from, and then to follow the agreements with visiting the schools, because I used to walk through the schools on a regular basis. Well, COVID's been one of the reasons you haven't walked through the schools, among other things. So,
Well, and I hopefully I don't ever come off as disrespectful, but I've always colored outside the lines and for what I think is, right and everything. And, on this one, you know what, I think, listening to the parents, to me, I'm a representative of the community.
okay,
and-
have you encouraged people who have shared things with you to share with Greg?
Every time.
That's
And
my
come to
only
the board
request.
meetings And to, I don't know how many times I've said, you need to, just today, you need to mail the chair. It's not my, I will bring your concerns if they're general and not specifically about somebody else. No, I follow and
I so appreciate you in that respect, because I know exactly where you're coming from with all of those different pieces and parts, and it's, okay, I can't stand this. I can't stand leaving that thing on. I'm sorry.
Do you really have to get up there and push a button
I'm
to
going to,
turn that
because
off?
I've tried to, no, I've used that tool multiple times.
Oh, don't hurt yourself. now.
I don't know.
No, we're all set that way. There you go.
Okay. Now they roll off.
Yeah. Let me- You're making me nervous. I don't want you to. Jeez.
Thank you, but I don't want to leave stuff on if I don't have to.
Oh, I hear you. Well, that's how things burn down.
Yes. Well, all
Well,
right.
I think it's good to have different opinions on the board, and hopefully I don't ever want to come off as disrespectful or, putting anybody down or anything like that. It's not my intention ever.
You haven't to me.
Okay, good.
To me, you're willing to listen. And the other thing is, you know what a consensus is. I'm sorry, there are other people that don't understand. And I have no problem with it.
Okay. Well, I'm gonna bring a different point of view, and I'm not afraid, I'm not one to just follow along. with what
Oh, the
everybody
one
else-
thing I was told is by Bill Linhart, who is employed by the park district, is Eric doesn't have a right to speak for the board, for the park district.
Well, I think-
Yes, he's,
Oh, in here?
Huh?
I'm gonna have to go back, and I don't remember doing that, but,
well, talking,
well, just like I can't speak for the board, he shouldn't be able to speak for the,
he's not even on their board.
no. Oh, I didn't know they had a board. I thought-
Yeah, the park district has a board.
Does he coach?
Yes, he coaches.
Okay. So is that a paying job or?
No,
Oh,
it's a volunteer job,
Oh,
but
okay. Well, he needs to have a conversation